Hey everybody, Patrick here, and I know I'm super late with doing this, but January was just crazy, and February has been pretty crazy too. But I'm like, dang it, I need to make this happen. So it's probably already too late. Everyone's kind of moved on from it, but that doesn't mean it's gonna stop me because I'm weird. So yeah. So I wanted to bring you today my top games of 2015 that I played. So I went home last night and was super excited to go through and yeah, I'm gonna give you my game of the year and runner up for game of the year and those kind of best expansion of the year. But I have some crazy categories too. I think those are the only normal ones that I have. Otherwise, they're all pretty zany. So I want to make this clear and concise so as many people can watch it and not ramble on like I have the habit of doing. So here we go. So my most played games of last year, and while I didn't track my stats last year, I am this year. But I know what got heavily played. I can tell by how worn out the copies are. So my most played games of last year are actually two. And because I didn't track, I don't know which one I played more. But I know that both of them got a heavy amount of play. They're both German imports. We'll start off with what I know got a little bit more play than the other, and that is going to be Six Nimmt, and this is from Amigo. But I know that it's available now through Mayfair. This version that I have here, though, is the anniversary version, and it's super messed up. If you've played the game, it comes with decimal cards, which can make the row quite crazy. And I'm not going to explain, how to play these games. I can tell you that every game I'm going to show you, I like quite a bit. So hopefully, you look into them. I know the availability on this anniversary edition is nil. So I'm sorry, I might be showing you some things that you can't get. So one of my most played games this past year is Six Nimmt. The second one is actually available here in the U.S. under a different name and in a slightly bigger box. But I like the box size that I have for it, and that is Heckmech by Zoc. And so Heckmech here in the U.S. is called Piconimo, and it's a quite fun pressure luck game that has some super high quality components in it, some great dominoes, which are kind of gratuitous, but they went the extra mile for that table presence, and I appreciate it. It makes it a lot more enjoyable from the tactile nature. So Heckmech and Six Nimmt, my most played games of 2015. So the next category we have is kind of one of the weird ones that I've made up, and that is what I felt was the coolest combining of mechanics or mechanisms. I can stir that pot again. So I'm going to say mechanics. The coolest combining of game mechanics, and that title is going to go to, let's see if I can get this right, is going to go to Jiraku. So Jiraku was brought over, I picked it up in Essen Spiel from the Taiwan design group, and I believe the game publisher is Moa Ideas, or maybe that's the design studio. And Jiraku actually combines trick taking with area control, and I like it quite a bit, enough to where I expressed some interest in licensing it and publishing it, but never heard back. So if you have a chance to pick up Jiraku, if you're into, it definitely is a Japanese theme, despite the fact that it was, Taiwan designed. But if you're into kind of the whole, history of moving into Tokyo, it had quite a bit of thematic presence as well. So Jiraku, one of the coolest combining mechanics. I don't know how to use syllables. So Jiraku, check that one out. Pardon me. Still getting over this cold. This cough won't leave me. Maybe I'm dying. Maybe this is my last vlog. Maybe I'm being over dramatic. Maybe I'm not. So another silly category. The biggest surprise I had from Essen, and I definitely owe this to the one tar. She pointed it out to me. Tiffany was great at pointing out to me at one evening back at Motel 1, and that is Dino Twist. Fantastic game. I don't know where to put the stinking games. Dino Twist. I think Bank E's edition. They're a small publisher out of France. Fantastic art. I had to print off the English rules for it, but it is another kind of fun, a big group game actually. It's 2 to 6 players. I wouldn't recommend it with really less than 3, and it's really more ideal at 4. But they were kind enough to draw an awesome custom image and write in my box for me, and I thought that was pretty fantastic. They did that actually with every single person that bought the game, but I printed off the English rules and threw them in the box, and it was one of my biggest surprises, and I was definitely interested in trying to license it, and also unfortunately, never heard back from the company. So maybe I'll run into them again next Essen and see what they've done with it. And maybe this is a game that I can have an opportunity to bring over next year or something. But Dino Twist, fantastic. This one's super hard to find, though. I do know that if you go to like Amazon.France, that at one point they had some, but I don't know anymore. So let me apologize in advance. The next game, I don't actually own the game because the company, the publisher, Blue Orange Games, released it at Essen, but then didn't release it in North America until after Toy Fair. And Toy Fair just ended this past Tuesday. I checked on some websites. I don't see it. I will buy probably 4 copies of the game when it comes out. I will be gifting this game like crazy. It goes into the category of most flat-out fun, and that goes to Dr. Eureka by Blue Orange Games. This is a coworker's fault. So she, at Sasquatch up here in Seattle, she drugged me into a game of it and insisted that I play it. And I was so glad that I did. And then I hated her guts when I realized that I had to wait. Because this was back like on Halloween. It was back on October 31st that I wasn't going to be able to buy it until late February. So what is that, 4 months later? Torture. Because I've not been able to get my hands on a copy at all. And very much so kicking myself in the butt. For not buying it. But Dr. Eureka, if you haven't played it, it's amazing. Like, I almost want to make a guarantee that you'll like it, but if you don't like something about it, I don't know. Some people may be turned off. I don't see how that's possible, but, I guess if you're not... It is a dexterity game, and it is real-time, which is super stressful. But one of my favorite video games of all time is Mario Party, and I think this board game is the closest to ever capturing it. There's a mini game inside of Mario Party 8, like my favorite Mario Party, and the last really good one, but I won't go off on that tangent. That came out on the Wii. That was the one released on the Wii, not the Wii U. Ugh, gross. The rest of them have been terrible. But after that, not before that, but 8 was the last good one. Sorry. There's a mini game in there called, I don't know if it's called Clocks, but you basically turn the remote and you're trying to get the minute and the hour quicker than your teammate does. And you're able, or your opponents do, and you're able to twist, left or right to go clockwise or counterclockwise. And I feel like Dr. Eureka captures the spirit of that real-time stress. It's super stressful, super fun. So, yeah, Dr. Eureka, phenomenal game. The next one is a category that I feel I'll be talking about a lot. And one of my game playing goals this year has been going through games that are on my shelf that I haven't played, that are new to me, but are by no means new games. And that game is Vikings. And Vikings was a phenomenal game brought back by Z-Man. It's off of the Hans Zimgluck license that Z-Man got from Rio Grande a couple years back. And it was Michael Menzel redid the art for the box, and Michael Kessling is the designer. And Michael Kessling and Wolfgang Kramer are like my favorite design team. I love them quite a bit. And the game is just phenomenal. It has this What I would best describe as an economic variable rondelle. And anybody that knows me well knows that I'm a geek for rondelles. So, man, can't get enough of Vikings. This one's going to be hitting the table a lot more. And I was smart this time and read the advanced rules immediately after playing the game for the first time. And I know on future plays with my wife, and man, she beat the junk out of me in this. But that's what happens when you turn a systems engineer into a gamer. They destroy you in Euro games. So I got to play stuff with dice and luck with her if I stand any shot at winning. But she super liked it too. So Vikings, my best old game that I played in 2015. Another game that I don't have here to show you that it falls under the category of completely blew my mind game, and it breaks my heart, to think about it, because some news was just announced about this game a couple weeks ago that made me all the sads. But game that completely blew my mind goes to Golem Arcana by Harebrained Schemes. And the reason why it completely blows my mind is I have zero interest in miniatures games. And my problem with that is, number one, I like pretty pieces and I don't have the time or the inclination or the skill to paint. I don't like the complicated tracking systems and all the measuring and the crazy amount of space that the game takes up. And it just seems like it's too cumbersome. Learning the game would take weeks, or learning miniatures games some of them would take weeks. And this game removed all the barriers, and for that, it blows me away. And I'm super sad that Harebrained Schemes a couple weeks back announced that the product is being retired, that they won't be actively supporting it any longer, and it won't be getting anything new. So I've been trying to snatch up everything I can find, because I think the game is amazing. I think it's a brilliant platform and system, and I really hope that it lives on some way through that. Like maybe somebody buys the platform and does something amazing with it, because for what it accomplished, and I know it didn't come out last year, but it was new to me last year, it removed so many barriers. It deserves all my money for that. And I have a fantastic time playing it, and I know that I've only scratched the surface with it. So while there's not anything new, I'm at the point where I can kind of binge watch the game, right? And I can get a bunch more plays in. But it's kind of like Firefly. If you've not seen it, you can watch the 12 episodes, but they're going to be amazing. But once it's done, it's done. So, yeah, I just made a Firefly reference talking about a miniatures game. Yeah, so Golem Arcana, check it out. Fantastic. Now we get into the major three. Wanted to keep this clear and concise, wanted to try to keep it 10 minutes. I've already run long. So my expansion of the year, the best expansion of 2015 for me, was hands down Istanbul, Mocha, and Bakshish. And so, not a word I say often. I had to look. I had wrote it out phonetically on my notepad so that I wouldn't screw it up. Istanbul, Mocha, and Bakshish was such a good expansion. It wasn't good. It was great. I will never play Istanbul without that expansion. That's how good it is. It just adds so much more into the game that it's amazing. I don't know that you would use it for first-time brand new players to the game, but there isn't any reason why on Play 2 they wouldn't take to it. And I bet you could even do it the first time. So it was amazing. And like it quite a bit. I don't know what more they could continue to do, but I think it's a neat system. I hope that it just doesn't get too crowded in there, because expansions are tough, right? So, but in this case, I felt it was good, but I don't want it to get flooded and it become this like mega game that it's not intended to be. Like, its medium weight is good, and so it needs to stay there. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the epic, game of the year. And I had a really hard time picking it. And honestly, they were all three very close. So I will start with my honorable mention, and then my runner-up, and then my game of the year. And so my honorable mention goes to the very, very fun Pandemic Legacy. And so we've been playing this here in the office, and I got a second game going with some friends at home. And we're only through July at this point, but just seeing the evolution of the game and all the different things that happen and the way the game has changed. And the reason why it's a honorable mention for me and not a runner-up and not game of the year is I don't particularly like Pandemic as a game. I think it is amazing for a cooperative game, and it's brought a lot of people into the industry, and I don't want to sell it short. For a lot of people, Pandemic is great, but there's something about Pandemic that just doesn't do it for me. I liked it a lot more in the first edition, with that art style. And I totally understand why they went with kind of the movie poster art style when it started to get into Target and stuff. Makes totally sense to me. Makes so much sense from a business perspective. But then it kind of started to feel a little off to me. I didn't like the look as much. And cooperative games aren't particularly my favorite, so that's probably the biggest part as well. But I love Matt Leacock, I love Rob, and I love Legacy and what that does for games. I like that ever changing aspect. So my runner up for Game of the Year, and it was so close to being my Game of the Year, and I went back and forth. But it came down to experience for me, and my runner-up for Game of the Year is Orleans, or Orleans, as we just call it. We just get really trashy about it in our house. We're like, Orleans! And it's fantastic. Published by, I believe, DLP, and then licensed here in the U.S. by Tasty Minstrel Games. Adding a fantastic... It's just a fantastic game, and it took like the deck building mechanic and used the discs and used it out of the bag. And I know like things out of the bag, like couriers and stuff like that, and Dice Masters are that particular implementation of deck building isn't new, but how they did it I think was really clever with there being limited spots that you had, and so you could assign things in the future, but only partially assign it. And I love everything about it, and I have the nice fancy Kickstarter edition, which just takes the tactile nature of it to a whole other level, and Tasty Minstrel did a fantastic job with that. So hats off, guys. That is my runner-up for Game of the Year. And now my Game of the Year. After this message. No, I'm just kidding. It's like that Bat episode, and then they go back and like, you remember the old like VH1 or MTV or the True TV stories, like where they do best of lists, and then they'd go back and redo the whole list right before they did like the best thing. And it was so annoying. I know some of you out there know what I'm talking about, but I won't do that to you. Or maybe this was a version of that. What a jerk. My Game of the Year goes to Time Stories. By Space Cowboys and Asmodee. And Time Stories was amazing. It was absolutely, in my opinion, revolutionary in its experience. I didn't know anything about Time Stories in advance. I was surprised at SN. I'm like, what's this? Everyone's going apo and crazy over this. And I had it pitched to me by somebody, not anybody with the company, but somebody told me that Time Stories was a video game system, and the expansions were the cartridges. And that captured my imagination as a child of the 80s, having gotten the NES when it was brand new. And that just completely hooked me in. And bad time to have an allergy attack. But played it with my friend Suze here in Seattle, and my wife, and part of my team here, Peter. Now I have a bloodshot eye in video. But Time Stories was completely awesome. We one-shotted it. We played it through the whole first, the base game, what came with it, and then we're going to be playing the Marcy expansion soon. But Time Stories is awesome. I can't wait to see what they do with it, and I really love it for its innovative qualities, and I really hope that we see innovative stuff like that here in the future. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you watching my best of 2015 list, even though it's very, very late. And, man, keep playing games, guys. Bye.